Your logic is that I can only be responsible for my government. Well, your government has turned a blind eye to the murder of nearly 2 million Christians in South Sudan, who fought against an Islamic jihad for 18 years. They had to wear special belts that meant that everyone could see that they were a Christian, and that's what happened in the medieval period. Tell me, what European power in the 1940s did that to Jews? Answer?
I mean, you know that everyone
Answer.
You're trying to
What? Go on. What am I trying to do?
popularise the.
Oh, go on. Here's where he puts me into the extreme right. Go on.
Well, this is what you're doing. You're
There you go.
popularising the extreme.
The youth of our country have been conditioned by the liberal state so that they are ideologically, in their mind, incapable of forming a polemical or historical or political critique of the ideology of Islam. So the brother asks, how did the word of Mary Magdalene get out without the use of the Gnostic Gospels that talk about her? The answer to this is simple. If you had known your history, your culture and your identity. But liberals are separated from the history of our culture. They don't know. Because this is the question that Christians from Sunday school can answer when they're children. Mary Magdalene is mentioned in the Gospels that we Christians call canonical. And they were called canonical because they were accepted as being ancient early works, as being connected to the apostles, and being recognized by the church at large, and because they agreed with what the church was teaching when it established the canon. The Gnostic Gospels of Mary Magdalene, by contrast, were recognized by Christians as being of late authorship, with no connection to the apostles, were not widely recognized by the church, and by teaching things that were contrary to the teaching of the church, and thus they were rejected from the canon, and we do not accept them. It wasn't that we didn't know about them, we did, because we were debating the Gnostics at the time who were quoting these books, and we were refuting them, quoting our own. So all of this mythical nonsense you hear in popular culture, that these were hidden books rediscovered recently, is a lie. Next question. Next question. Any more questions, or are we wrapping it up? One more question. Make it a good one, because I'm stopping after this.
So the same things that you just claimed about the book of Mary's book could be said about the book of John, the book of Matthew. Like, they're all after the fact. They're all written after the fact. So why are these books by men given preferential treatment, and the book of a woman hidden? It seems to me like men wanted. It seemed to me like the men wanted to create a patriarchal society, and they did that around religion by only including men as voices that were worthy of hearing. What is your opinion on that?
Okay. If you want to hear me, move a bit closer, because I'm not going to shout anymore. I can't. So, in answer to the question, the reality is that the Gospels that we recognise, you can't say the same about the Gospels that I recognise as we do about Mary Magdalene, because the church was quoting those books as early as the early part of the 1st century, which is that's between the year 100 to 120. Okay, and they were That's the... Sorry, yes, you're right. 2nd century, my apologies. As early as the 2nd century. Now, considering... Can I finish? Can I finish? Now, considering that all scholarship agrees that the apostolic writings were completed by 90 AD, yeah? If they are then being quoted as early before 120 AD, then that means that those Gospels are primitive literature. They're very, very early. And the community, can I finish my point? All history, all biography is after the fact. That is the nature of biography and history. Let me finish my point. Now, that literature grew up with and was created by the communities that believe the doctrines that you find in those Gospels, such as the Gospel of Luke. If you read the beginning of the Gospel of Luke, it's very clear. It states that other people had written some accounts of what I'm writing about, and I'm writing it to you, Theophilus. Thank you. Thank you very much, Steve. So that he's writing to Theophilus, and Theophilus was called a friend of God, which meaning he was writing to a Christian. So it's a Christian writing to a Christian about accounts kept within the Christian community, which means that these accounts are connected to the first apostles, because the time span is so short. Now, in terms, let me finish. So these Gospels were being quoted early. They were written primitively. They were quoted extremely early. They were known by the church. The church recognized them, was using them. They were being copied and copied and copied very quickly. It's called the tenacity of the text. By contrast, Mary Magdalene, the works that you're referring to that talk from Mary Magdalene, they don't appear anywhere. No one talks about them, writes about them, or uses them until until middle 3rd century, late 2nd century, and then let me finish without interruption. I'll move away from you if you interrupt.
I'll let you correct.
Let me finish. Yeah. So all of these documents. There's no. Right. Okay. I'm going to move. I'm moving away from you. If you want to talk to me, talk to me. Stop being rude.
Stop being rude.
Stop. No, you did this to me before. You forced your way into your own
because he can't handle the truth.
Do you want to talk to him or to me?
To 150.
Are you talking to him or to me? Right, talk with you.
Honestly, I really want to listen to you.
Yeah. So, if you could stop heckling. He's heckled me before.
No, I know.
He's heckled me before, and that's why I'm moving away from him, because he's rude. He's rude.
No, honestly.
Right, you're talking to him. Come with me.
I want to listen to you.
Come with me.
Right.
So the Gospel of Mary Magdalene was much later. No one talks about it, quotes it, or uses it.
But the absence of evidence doesn't mean it's true.
Right. There's no community was using it either. No community. The Christians start to argue with the Gnostics around the middle, the later point. Now, what the brother tries to argue is using the line of the arguments of scholars like Bart Ehrman, which says that because the original autographs were lost of the New Testament, I believe, which they are lost. They were written on papyrus, which is organic material, so it can't survive 2,000 years. Because those autographs are lost, Bart Ehrman says we cannot know if the Gospels that I believe in were the original. And it's true, we cannot know because we don't have the autographs. But not being able to know is not the same as saying you've proven that it isn't.
But you're saying that you've proven that it is. Like,
what I'm saying
until just now, like when you're on your soapbox, you were saying that you know that Islam is false because of this. And these Dead Sea Scrolls proved
the Old Testament.
Okay.
We're now talking about the New Testament. So the point is, with regards to the New Testament,
there's nothing proving the Quranic in your own words.
Yeah, there's plenty of the proofs.
Well, I've got my own proofs, but your reason here isn't proof.
You're an apologist for Islam now. So get him on camera. He's an apologist for Islam. So this is what happens when weak men fit into atmospheres in which there are strong forces. They mould themselves to the strongest. Sheep follow the strong. So right. So the point. Neither do you, apparently. So the point that I'm making to you is that the academic argument that we cannot know is not the same as that we've proven that it isn't. And what I'm saying is I have good reason to believe.
That's better language.
That is what I've been saying. I have good reason to believe that the Gospels, as we find them, is how the Church wants us to have them. Because you've got to understand something, brother. My faith is not built upon the book. Everything that I believe came before the book. The book just captures what I believe. It's like a photo.
Yeah. I can appreciate that mentality. Like, I don't believe in free will, and then I started reading books about free will and realizing, oh, people wrote books about this. So, like, I understand, I appreciate that argument, but at the same time, like I say, I'm interested in religion. I studied it. I'll protect your right. I'll protect any Christian's right to believe what they want. Like I'll protect any Muslim's right. What I see with my own eyes today are Muslims being persecuted by the far right. And hate crimes on increase against them.
So let's just deal with a couple of points. Firstly, let's be clear. If you want to authentically engage with the Christian faith, then you have to engage with the fact that a group of people in the first century were convinced that a man rose from the dead, and that they were so convinced, many of them went on to die for it, and then later on, because of that inspiration, they then wrote about it. So my faith is not built upon any criticism of the Bible like this brother's did.
There's no evidence.
So the fact
There's no written evidence.
The fact that we don't have complete copies until much later, which is what this brother's going to say.
900 years later.
Right, is immaterial, because what I believe existed before the books were written about it. And you've got to explain, and so does he, where that belief came from. That's the question I would leave with you as you go away.
I've got a good
now
answer.
to address now to address once again your willingness to speak against Islamophobia, but your silence about Christophobia.
I'm talking about
one second.
Our government that we can control
I know
are
one
killing
second.
Muslims.
I know one
Millions,
second.
but they're not
I
killing
know
Christians.
personally they are. Ignorance, utter ignorance. Oh my gosh! Go and look at what ISIS did to the Christians in Syria.
No, our government.
Go and look at what the Egyptian government. He doesn't want to deal with it, does he?
No, because I
doesn't
can't
want to
control
deal
what
with
the Egyptians
He doesn't want to deal
ISIS
with
are doing.
it. Doesn't want to
control
deal
what
with
our government are doing.
it. Right? Go and look what the Egyptian government is doing to the Christians in Egypt.
I don't support.
Go and look at what the Pakistani government is doing to the Christians of Pakistan.
I'm talking about this
If
country.
only you navel-gazing, virtue-signalling hypocrites could actually... But it enrages me, it truly does. It truly does enrage me that you are willing to ignore the plight of one evil to one community just because it's over there.
No, I'm not ignoring it.
Do you believe we should let?
I'm just saying.
Do you believe we should let refugees into Europe?
Can I just explain my position again? Thing about the theocratic regime in Egypt or the government in Pakistan, that I can do something about my own community and the government that are supposed to be responsible to me. Egypt aren't responsible to me. I can't go over there and start telling them, hey, Egypt, stop killing Christians.
So so it doesn't even try.
What do you mean
Are you telling me you can't tell your government to tell the Egyptian government to stop killing Christians?
I mean,
but your logic is, your logic is,
I'll tell you
your
that
logic is, one second,
I'll tell you
your logic is that I can only be responsible for my government. Well, your government has turned a blind eye to the murder of nearly 2 million Christians in South Sudan, who fought against an Islamic jihad for 18 years. How long have you been alive?
a bit longer than that.
Right.
Can I-
Did you speak up about it?
I spoke up about Saudi Arabia and their oppressive regime. I've emailed a couple of times to my local MP.
What specifically?
To voice my,
what specifically were you arguing against? Be clear.
I mean,
don't be general. What specific examples did you use? Let's see if he spoke up for Christians. What specific examples?
I mean,
Be honest.
Okay, I am. I'll be honest. I'm unaware of the millions of Christians, but that's not through choice. Like, I was ignorant to the fact that a job existed that was beneficial to me and what I love to do now until someone told me about it. So now that you've told me about it, I can now go and look up how many Christians have died, and maybe I can then speak about it instead of being so antagonistic and saying, "Why haven't you done this?" Hey, I'm sorry, I'm ignorant to it. It's not in the news every day. I can't read every single newspaper. I can't check on Christians. Oh, how are they doing?
But this
How
is
are
my
Hindus
point to you,
doing?
bro.
Like,
This is my point to you, bro. I said to you when you were accusing me of using ad hominem that you were a sheep that uncritically and counterfactually just received the information of the media that were given to you without thought or criticism. And the fact of the matter is the liberal media does not want to tell you about the persecution of Christians, because if they did, it would feed into the narrative that they are trying to create. Sorry, it would work against the narrative that they are trying to create, which is that all religions can be equally bad, and that all religions really mean and believe the same thing and have the same values. And if they were to point out how for 1400 years, did you get that? 1400 years, every single Islamic state, society, empire and caliphate has subjected Christians to a position of dimitude that would work against the narrative that they want you to believe in.
so
Learn your history.
Okay, so
learn
for
about the
1400
Ottomans in
years-
Eastern Europe.
For 1400 years, how often did Christians attack the Jews through the Crusades, and did Islam protect the Jews?
No, they didn't
do you-
protect the Jews.
Yes, they did.
No. Do you know what happened in Andalusia? Of course he doesn't.
Okay.
Why? Because he's a
No, I'm
brainwashed
gonna
liberal
I'm
sheep.
going to let you finish, and then I'll tell you how they did.
Right. So
Protect the Jews.
what happened? What happened in Andalusia is that Muslims would reduce Christians and Jews to second-class citizens. If you don't believe me, go and look up the martyrs of Cordoba. Go and look about how the Islamic State suppressed the martyrdom movement in Cordoba. They basically said to the Christians, if you don't stop this movement, we're going to kill you all, every one of you. Yeah, that was Islamic tolerance in Andalusia, in Spain.
I'm not going to.
They rioted against. They rioted against the Jews in Andalusia and killed 5,000 in the space of a week because a caliph who was not particularly religious put a Jew into a position of authority, and it was a scandal that a Jew should have authority over a Muslim. Okay? Now,
Are there no Jews in
when
political power
you talked about the
in
Crusades.
the Middle East at the moment?
you talk,
There's
in
many.
Israel,
No,
yeah,
it's not just in Israel. And Christians. And Christians.
Under
So are they
the
being
Ba'athist
oppressed?
regime, yeah,
they
but
being
not
oppressed?
No, you go and look at what happens in Egypt. Christians are treated as second-class citizens. In Pakistan, they're treated as second-class citizens. Doesn't seem to matter how many times I tell him this, he comes out with the same liberal rhetoric. Oh, it's all okay over there. It is not okay over there. You have been
I said
blinded
it was
to
okay
reality.
over there. I just said I'm not going to defend oppressive regimes.
You said it was crusade. You
Okay,
talked
can
about
I,
the
can, I,
crusade.
can I answer that question about the Jews? So, who do Christians hold responsible for the death of Jesus?
The Jews that were in
Jews.
authority at the time.
So there's this built-up hatred from Christianity towards the Jews because of that, and it was Islam. This is from an article in the Jewish Chronicle written by a Jew. Islam saved Jewry, and if it wasn't for Islam, there would have been no Holocaust. They took.
bigger crusade as was done by Arabs after the completion of
Okay, I
This is an
appreciate that.
ex-Muslim
Oh,
speaking.
No, I appreciate that. I'm not.
But he's not
gonna
listening.
defend that.
Are you getting-
No, I
Ex-Muslim.
know this.
This is an ex-Muslim is correcting
I
you.
know this, but it's not.
Christian crusade was a mini crusade, not to liberate the land, not to convert people, but as a counter because they were so badly being persecuted, they were so badly being their people being enslaved and sexual slave girls and captive women, and they couldn't even pray in their churches.
So you're trying to tell me that the Christian church has never spread Christianity by the sword?
No, sir. Let me tell you one thing. I'm not saying that none of us has been perfect. But when a Christian, neither a Jew nor a Christian, but none of us have been perfect. But you have to give the credit. The history tells us that Judaism and Christianity, our word owes a lot to these two Abrahamic religions. Right? Jesus Christ never told them to pick up a sword or to combat.
He did once.
No,
there's one.
Oh yes, I can see what you're coming on. I think Bob will be able to say Matthew 10:35. Yeah.
I don't know specifically.
Yeah, I know that. Jesus Christ is not saying to go pick up a sword, kill them. Jesus Christ sword will be against you.
Brother,
and then you have to...
Can I show you something?
That's what it.
You say that you're opposed to discriminatory, undemocratic regimes, right?
Yes.
Right. So if their values come from a religious book, will you oppose the book?
Show me the verse.
Answer the question first.
I already opposed the book. So there's no need
Yeah,
for
but
that.
will you? No. Will you
I already
oppose
opposed the book.
Will you?
I will defend someone's right to
Will
believe.
will you oppose the book if it teaches what we're trying to talk, what we're telling you
I
about?
oppose Christianity for the same reason.
Right? Did you notice that, ladies and gentlemen?
I will. Yes.
No, hold on
yes,
one
I
second.
will. I
He
already
said,
do.
he said, I will oppose Christianity for the same reason.
I already do.
I
oppose
said,
the Quran,
I
and
said
oppose
to you,
the-
I said
No,
to you,
because you're trying to make it out that
I
the
said
Quran's
to
the
you,
worst thing.
I
The
said
Quran's
to you,
just as bad.
I said to you that the liberal believes that all religions can be equally as bad. And there you go. He has been brainwashed by the state to
was
believe
brainwashed
something
by
that
the
is false.
state.
Because, right, show me this verse in the Bible. Fight those who believe not in Allah, nor the last day, nor hold that forbidden which hath been forbidden by Allah and his Prophet, nor acknowledge the religion of truth, which is Islam, even if they are people of the book, which is a reference to Jews and Christians, until they pay the jizya with willing submission and feel themselves subdued. That word subdued can also be translated as humiliated.
Let me just read this. Let me just read this again. Can I just read it?
Where Bob said fight those, it says kill those, not fight those. Qatilul lazina. They've translated as fight those.
And what's the Arabic?
Kill. Qatilul lazina. Qatl.
Did you hear that?
Kill.
Did you hear that?
So in future, Bob, when you translate this, they have watered it down.
They've watered it down.
They watered it down.
That's an
It
ex-Muslim
says kill
speaking.
them, Kill them. Qatilul
Did you hear that?
Whenever you find
hear
a
that?
word,
What verse is
no,
this?
this.
29.
Surah 9,
Brother,
29. Now here's what the...
No, but do you know what that is specifically talking about?
Here we go, here we go, the apologists now. Go on.
No, it's not saying all.
Oh, he's an expert. Go on. Correct me. I'm wrong. Go on.
No, because
Defend the
it's been a
persecution.
long time, but where, like,
Defend the persecution that we Christians have suffered for 1400 years.
no.
Defend the aggression that we Christians have suffered for 1400
I'm going to
years.
say that not all Muslims believe that to be a call to.
I agree. There are many Muslims who don't take their book seriously. Their conscience is
because
better than their book.
They read
I agree with you.
They read it in a historical context where they're talking. They will be talking about specific people who are attacking Muslims.
Right.
Muslims are outnumbered.
Look, doesn't say that.
No, of course it doesn't say that in that sentence.
No, it doesn't say that.
There's a whole book
But here's the
with
thing, bro.
sentences before and after.
Here's the thing, bro. Christians have experienced 1400s of Islamic aggression. They invaded the Christian Middle East. They invaded Christian North
not gonna
Africa.
defend that.
They
I'm not
invaded
gonna
Christian
defend that.
Spain. They invaded Christian Eastern Europe. They were inspired by this verse. They were chanting this verse as they went into battle. They were chanting this verse to Christians as they slew them, as they kidnapped their children. I agree with you. Not all Muslims today follow this verse. Why? Because their conscience is better than their book. But I am not criticizing Muslims. I'm criticizing Islam.
You should criticize your own book for the way that it was used to justify the killing of Jews. Because
Let
of
me-
what they did to Jesus.
Let me just quote. I want to
So
quote
why
from
can't
you.
you treat the Quran like you treat the Bible? They both have violent verses, and they've both been used to justify war
Show
and
me,
oppression.
right? So show me in the New Testament where it tells me to kill you for not believing what I believe. Because I've just showed you in the Quran where it shows you a Muslim to kill a Christian and Jew for not believing what they believe. Not believing. So show me that in the New Testament, you clown. Liberal, progressive clownmanship at its best.
Meanwhile, should I give you a contradiction?
Right. Oh. Right, I want to, just while he's finding that, I want to read from the work, The Andalusian Myth, because we are being spun a lie in the West. One second.
The Battle of Tabuk
One
is
second.
the thing you're
One second.
referencing.
One
I
second.
can find you many more verses that say
The
there is
Battle
no compulsion in
of
religion.
Tabuk.
There is no compulsion in religion. That you should not transgress.
Sorry, what's the punishment in Sharia law for leaving Islam?
There is no punishment.
Okay, what is the law for leaving? What is brother, ex-Muslim? Ex-Muslim, are you listening? What is the law, uncle, in Islam for leaving Islam?
Very good question. Quran has no name for its religion and its followers. They are slaves of Allah. Arabic word Islam means surrender, and nothing more, nothing less. So they are not children of God like Bible followers.
Sorry,
are.
uncle,
So
just
I'm
on the
saying,
law of the
but
apostasy.
it is because these Arabs misrepresented the Quran outside Arabia. So through fatwas, they kill somebody if he leaves.
Okay, so the hadith
One
is...
second, because he's saying that he's going to show me in the Quran where it talks about no compulsion in religion.
Quran was only
But
for
in
Arabs, nobody
Islam, it teaches if you leave the religion of Islam,
No.
you can be killed. That's Sahih al-Bukhari. You don't know what you're talking
So
about.
he just mentioned the hadith. I'm going to go directly to the Quran, which is first. The hadith is secondary. Okay,
A single verse of peace in the entire.
I've got numerous.
Here is the Quran. Show me a single verse of peace.
Chapter 24, verse
Only
54.
one verse of peace in the entire Quran.
Surah what surah?
Chapter 24, verse 54. Obey Allah and obey the Messenger. But if ye turn away, he is only responsible for the duty placed on him, and ye for that
Sorry,
placed on
my
you.
apologies. 24.
No, 2454.
24:50.
So obey Allah. I'll let you find it. Obey Allah and obey the Messenger. But if ye turn away, he is only responsible for the duty placed on him, and ye for that placed on you. If ye obey him, ye shall be on right guidance. The messenger's duty is only to preach the clear message. So you can believe what you want.
read Surah 5
Another
verse
one,
33?
chapter 18, verse 29. Let him who wishes to believe do so, and let him who wishes to disbelieve do so.
You know, no contradiction.
He doesn't know.
He doesn't know.
5 verse 33.
He doesn't
If you're
know.
going to talk about abrogation,
He
the last
doesn't
one
know.
to find.
He
Look at
doesn't
the
know.
contradiction now.
He doesn't know.
Read Surah 5 verse 33.
5:33.
533.
But the violent verses that you were talking about, that was the Battle of Tabuk that you were talking about.
So-
they're talking about specific
So
non-believers. Not
so
all
hold on.
non-believers.
Here's
Not taking
one
it out
second.
of context.
Can I deal with you? Here's why we know this brother is wrong. Because
I will defend
here's
I
why
will
we know
defend the
this brother
Bible
is
in the
wrong.
same way.
Here's why we know the brother is wrong. It's because for 1400 years, if this non-Muslim liberal progressive is right, Muslims have been misunderstanding their own holy book. Because for 1400, and he says yes, this is the arrogance of the man. So for 1400 years, Muslims have misunderstood their book, which says go out and fight the unbeliever, and they did go out and fight the unbeliever, and they invaded Christian lands, and they murdered Christians, and they conquered our territories, and they took our children as slaves, all because of a giant misunderstanding. And the hadith, Now notice, he hasn't found me a verse from the New Testament, like I asked him, to show me where in the New Testament it says, I am to kill you for not believing as I believe. Surah 5,
verse 33.
5:33.
And we will also link up with 32.
Right. Surah 5, verse 33, on the basis of the uncle's testimony.
Yeah.
The punishment of those who wage war against Allah and His Messenger and strive with might and main for mischief through the land is execution or crucifixion, or the cutting off of hands and feet from the opposite side, or exile from the land. That is their disgrace. That is their disgrace in this world, and a heavy punishment is theirs in the hereafter.
They're talking about
except for
extremists.
those who repent before they fall into your power.
Yeah,
In that
if they
case,
repent.
no. So in other words, fight them if they are causing mischief in the land,
terrorists.
and if you overpower them and they convert before you overpower them, then you'll be merciful. So that means, and that's what Muslims did. They invaded Christian Europe in the east. They invaded Christian Europe in Spain. They invaded lands that were not their own. They fought against the unbelievers that were the Christians and the Jews.
can I just say-
And they took our children as slaves into the Middle East. And you are ignorant of the history. And you
No,
think
I acknowledge the history.
what? And what
I'm
about the
not
hadith?
gonna-
What about the
I'm
hadith
not gonna-
that says?
I'm not gonna-
What about Sahih al-Bukhari that says, if a Muslim, you can kill a Muslim for one of three reasons. One, if he kills unjustly. Two, if he commits adultery. Three, if he leaves the religion of Islam. Does that sound like compulsion to you?
That's the hadith, and that is a contradiction to
Notice
the
it.
Quran.
No, notice he didn't answer the question. Is that compulsion?
I mean, I'm not going to defend.
Are you going to answer the question or
I'm not
not?
going to defend a oppressive regime.
I'll ask you the third time in a row. Is it
The way you
compulsion?
put it, that sounds like compulsion.
That sounds like compulsion. Now, here's the thing he's ignorant of.
But I don't.
No Muslim would argue that this wasn't Sahih. No Muslim would argue that this doesn't apply.
I give you contradiction within the Quran if you read 33 and 32.
Oh, you're Shia? Yeah, okay, my apologies. Wait, it's good that he corrected me. The Shia do reject Sahih al-Bukhari. Which shows,
there you go.
some Muslims, 10%. What are you going to do about the other 90? So, disputed. So, the point of the matter is, yeah, you say that you're opposed to political oppressive regimes.
Yes.
Why are you not opposed to the oppressive teachings of the book?
Because you're taking that out of context. I will defend Christianity in the Bible in the same way.
So
that
show
I'm
me, I'll ask you again, show me in the New Testament where it commands me to kill someone for not believing. Because I showed you in the Quran. So fair's fair.
No, but
You said they're all the same.
I'll show him the 10 commandments.
You said I would oppose Christianity for the same reason. So now show me where we have that. Show me.
that's I already told you that the one that you showed me was the Battle of Tabuk, where Muslims were being oppressed and attacked by many more.
Nobody attacked them.
Nobody attacked them.
No, I
They
tell you.
fled to Medina and then started attacking the Meccans. You don't know your history.
No.
I'll tell you
Why
what
would
happened.
100
No.
new Muslims go and attack a population of thousands?
Listen.
Yes.
Tabuk was not. Tabuk.
Show me the
Have you
verse.
got the New
Show
Testament?
me,
No, show us the New Testament verse.
no, show me the verse.
No, where did you hear that? He hasn't got a New Testament verse.
I'll show them.
The man said, I would argue against Christianity for the same reason, so now show me the same reason in the Bible.
What's the verse with the?
Sorry?
what's
What was
the-
that? What
I'm
verse?
asking you. You know it better than me. What's the verse about where Jesus talks
I'll
about
tell
the
you
sword?
that. I'll tell you that. That verse you are Matthew chapter 5 verse 5.
So, have you got it?
32.
You Google search the Battle of Tabuk, Google search your verse.
No, because I wanted to correct your nonsense. Like, I will correct nonsense if someone tells me something
So,
about Christianity.
so I'm correcting your nonsense now.
Well, I'm telling
Because you said that I would oppose Christianity for the same reason. So if all religions can be equally bad, O liberal progressive, virtue signalia, please show me where in my book it commands me to kill you for not believing as I believe, just as I showed you in the Quran where it commands Muslims to kill the Alim al-Kitab for not believing in Islam.
Single verse, peaceful verse.
Show me.
So, I don't think there's a single verse in the Quran that promotes violence against.
All right. If there was no sword, let me sum up about here. If there was no sword used during the period in Medina, there was no Islam.
There was
Another one of
There
them.
was no
You
Islam.
cannot just read a sentence out and say it commands
That's what
violence. They're telling a story. They're telling a story which you're just taking on a word out.
It's not a story. It's a way of living.
It's a story. It's
It
a
isn't.
story.
It isn't a story.
It's a story as well as
No, it isn't.
Brother,
directions
you
of how
have
to
been
live.
conditioned by our liberal state so that you
conditioned
are
by anything.
incapable of forming a
Why
historical
can you not give me
critique of
agency of my
Islam.
own mind?
Because you have demonstrated no agency. You have simply repeated the rhetoric of the liberal state, and you have done so blindly.
The liberal state.
The liberal state is
The
what
liberal-
educated you.
The owners of the media are all powerful right-wing nutjobs. So there's no liberal state.
What a goofball. Dude,
Rupert
come on.
Murdoch,
Right.
is he liberal?
Listen,
George Soros,
he
is
said,
he
he
liberal?
said that I gave you a verse out of context, so I'll give you another one. O prophet, rouse the believers to fight. if there are 20 amongst you, do you remember when he said, why would 100 go and fight thousands? Here's why. I'm correcting you. O Prophet, rouse the believers to fight. If there are 20 amongst you, patient and persevering, they will vanquish 200. If 100, they will vanquish 1,000 of the unbelievers. For these are the people without understanding. That is why
that's giving them courage
to go and raid the Meccans, to go and wage war against the pagan Meccans, because that's what happened in history.
Read. Stop defending Islam.
He is in denial.
That statement just says to me is if you haven't got enough power
to fight as
enough
they're being
people
attacked.
to fight the army,
so let me see, section 965.
don't say anything until you get to that level, then take it.
Oh no, it's not section 9. Sorry.
Surah 8.
So you wait till you got
65.
enough members, you go, right, we've got enough members now we'll do it.
So the point is, guys, our youth in this country have been conditioned by the liberal state.
I'm older than you.
I have been conditioned
How
by
old
the
are you?
liberal state. I'm not giving away my age.
I'm
I've
older
been
than you.
conditioned
I'm
by the
33.
liberal state. Have been
I'm
conditioned
33,
by
so
the liberal
the
state.
youth, the youth.
Have been conditioned by the liberal state.
Thanks for the compliment.
It is a compliment. Take it.
But you'd be
Have
still
been-
a youth for a 60-year-old.
have been conditioned by the liberal state, guys.
So you're a youth.
Okay, I'll talk to the
I'm
camera.
not a youth. Sorry, sir.
Guys, listen. The youth of our country have been conditioned by the liberal state so that they are ideologically, in their mind, incapable of forming a polemical or historical or political critique of the ideology of Islam. And they will never ever get the education that they need from the liberals. That is why we need to rediscover a muscular Christian faith, rooted in our own history, the history of the church. Because the church has experienced 1400 years of Islamic aggression, Islamic slave trading, Islamic raiding parties. We know what it means to be dominated by an Islamic Islamist ideology. We know. And these liberals, they want to assume, because their teachers tell them, that all religions are capable of being equally good and equally bad, because all religions teach the same thing.
15
As we have seen, they do not. I am still waiting for a single verse from the New Testament that tells me to kill someone who believes not what I believe. Have you got the verse yet? You've been looking for nearly 10 minutes.
I'm not looking for that. I've not been looking for it.
He's not even looking.
I've been looking at
He's
the context.
making a claim,
I've been looking
but
at
he's
the
been
context.
providing
I've
no
been looking
evidence.
up the context.
So I'll ask you again. Show me in the New Testament where it commands me to kill those who don't believe as I believe.
It doesn't. And I'm
There
saying
you go.
that
There you go.
doesn't-
It doesn't, but this does. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Got there in the end.
But if someone said that it did, I would defend the Bible in the same way that I'm defending the Quran. Because there's plenty of Muslims that don't believe that. And they've read the context. 15 years ago, I read the Quran front to back, and then I read it again.
You never read the Quran.
What do you want about?
You never read the Quran. Can you read Arabic? Can you read Arabic?
Okay, I didn't read it in Arabic.
Oh, so you didn't read the
I
Quran?
read a translation.
Yeah, you did, exactly. You read a translation.
Yeah, no, but it depends.
No, this is it. I've got him. He read a translation that is written to be acceptable to a Western audience.
So, okay.
That's what he read.
So what?
That's what he read.
What translation of the Bible do you use?
I read the NASB.
So is that not the same thing?
I also read the.
Is that not the same thing?
No, we don't. We don't change our translations to suit a Western audience.
The original written in Hebrew,
It was written in Greek and Hebrew.
Greek and Hebrew. Do you speak Greek or Hebrew?
Does my faith depend upon the book?
No,
Well,
the church.
Exactly.
No,
He
it
doesn't know. He's trying to make an
Come on.
argument against the Christian faith based upon my critique of the Islamic faith, and it doesn't follow because they're different religions. They teach different things, they have different values, they work through different systems.
Can I show you a stat that might shed some light on what I think the Quran teaches? So,
You need to say who. Well, if you're reading it in English,
in a Gallup
who
world-
who translated it?
I know.
Because if you go around the park now, there's about five
It
translations.
was 15 years ago that I studied it. So,
But in the park now,
Have you
there's about
studied the
five
Bible?
different translations. of it.
not
They're
to
arguing
the
between themselves.
same extent.
So you've read the Quran from cover to cover, but you've not read the Bible.
No, I've read a lot of it. But
What
not
have you
to the
read?
same extent.
What have you read?
I've read most of the New Testament.
Can you?
But again, it was a long time ago.
Can you-
Probably 17, 18 years ago. Can I just give you a stat? Let me just give you the stat.
I'll give some
in,
stats
in,
as well.
in a Gallup World poll in 2011, residents of the organized Organization of Islamic Cooperation, the OIC, member states were less likely to justify the targeting and killing of civilians than residents of non-OIC states. So in OIC states, 18% believe military attacks on civilians justified, and 14% believe individual attacks on civilians justified. In non-OIC states, 24% believe military attacks on civilians are justified, and 17% believe individual attacks on civilians are justified. So that tells me that the Quran isn't teaching violence, but it's teaching Muslims to be peaceful, and it bears out in the facts.
Except it doesn't bear out in the facts, because what happened in Syria when ISIS came into Aleppo, the Muslim population greeted ISIS as they kicked out the Christians from that city.
Okay.
That's what happened.
Okay. So
that is what happened in Aleppo. There are countless testimonies. One second. There are countless testimonies of Christians who had neighbours that they thought were friends, who then turned on them just because ISIS gained power. What you don't understand...
Because ISIS would have threatened
what you don't
I'm not going to
understand...
defend extremists.
But you do defend extremism.
No, I don't.
Because you are seeking to rationalise the ideology that creates it.
No, I'm trying to speak up for the moderate Muslims.
I am right. Just to be clear, because you again, like all liberal progressives, you aren't able to separate a critique of the religion from a critique of the people. So I will make it black and white for you. I accept that there are cultural Muslims whose conscience is better than their book. I get that. I believe the same. And I don't agree with treating all Muslims as if they are the same, because they most certainly are not. However, I have been critiquing the teachings of the religion, and that religion has been consistently practiced by Muslim populations for 1400 years, and the anomaly that you are trying to defend of the reformist Islam is a Western anomaly. It does not exist in Islamic history.
How do you explain the fact that most Muslims, according to this poll,
they're cultural, not practicing?
So
in the same way,
cultural Muslims are better than
practicing Muslims.
But they're also better than non-Muslims.
No, not
according to these stats.
But one second. It wouldn't be entertained in Iran. It wouldn't be entertained in Pakistan.
You wouldn't be stood here defending Christians in Mecca. No one would tolerate that.
No, it wouldn't.
Really?
I've spoken to other Iranians and Afghanis.
No, actually, the Iranian people are much more cultural than their leaders.
Yeah, fair enough. I retract. But
and actually, the Christian, it's true. What he's saying is true. The Christian faith is exploding in Iran.
That's
because the Iranians are rejecting Islam.
That's why I'm not going to defend oppressive regime. But I'm not going to defend oppressive regime.
But you'll defend an oppressive book.
No, I'll defend the people who believe in that book.
Again, I have not criticised the people. I have criticised the book. Please pay attention.
When you're trying to put this, you're trying to.
What? Go on. What am I trying to do?
Popularise the.
Oh, go on. Here is where he puts me into the extreme right. Go on.
Well, this is what you're doing. You're popularising the extreme version.
Already said it.
You're popularising the extreme version instead of popularising the people who say, no, that's not what it says.
Right.
This is what it says.
Hold on.
So you should be saying, hey, listen to my brother here.
Now notice,
saying that this is not what it says.
Notice how the liberal progressive pulls out their desperate card. Right? When you've got a liberal progressive on the ropes, they pull out the desperate card. You're extreme right. This is extreme right propaganda.
I never said you're extreme right.
You implied it. Brother, let's be clear.
What? And you've implied that I'm a soy boy. And
you are a soy boy.
Well,
you are a soy boy.
Well, if you're going to say that, you're far right.
Right, but here's the thing. Calling someone a soy boy is talking about their temperament and their sensibilities, not their beliefs. That's the difference between our two exchanges. It is an insult. So
what have I insulted you?
Let's just.
I think I deserve to.
You can. I'm not afraid to be.
But I'm not going to because I'm not going to stoop to your low level.
So
as a Christian, you shouldn't
be
clear.
Me. Don't try to define my faith for me. Yeah. That's cultural appropriation. You should be against that. So my point to you is, bro, that Islam for 1400 years contradicts what you're saying. Islam, as practiced by
Christianity
Muslims,
contradicts what you're saying.
What have?
And
one
how
second.
how it's
Where?
been practiced.
Where? How?
God told George
Go on.
Bush and Tony Blair to go
Go
and
on.
attack Iraq.
That was their politics, not their religion at play.
Yeah, okay, so...
I dealt with that earlier. Notice he doesn't actually deal with what I'm saying.
Can I just deal with this point? I just need to deal with this point. So, ISIS's politics, in their publications, they say what they're doing, the reason why they're doing it is because of their the Western intervention. And I can prove that again with stats. Overall...
Western intervention is responsible for ISIS. They have nothing to do with the fact they quote the Quran and Hadith.
Listen, please.
About women in the Bible
Please.
and women in the Quran.
Come on, let's not change topic just now. Overall, foreign military occupation accounts for... So a guy called Robert Pape studied all the suicide terrorist attacks in the world for the 6 years of 2004 to 2009. So out of 1,833 suicide attacks, 98.5 of them were carried out in countries that had were occupied by foreign militaries, and 92% of those were occupied by American combat forces. So why is it that we see terrorism happening in foreign occupied countries and not in places like Iceland and other places like that?
Can I reply? So, remember, because they haven't made the mistake of the West.
Exactly.
Because exactly. So let's just remember what the critique is, because to clarify to you again, because I know you've now put me in that right-wing bracket, I accept.
No, I only said that. Because
Can I finish?
I only said that because you called me Sloyd. So I'm just gonna.
So,
I don't think you're right-wing, but you're using
okay, thank you. I accept
right-wing.
that. Fine, right. So I was arguing against what the book teaches. And I have been arguing that consistently Muslims have practiced the book according to a certain series of traditions.
And I've continued to say I will not defend that.
And he has continued to say that this is not representative of Muslims today. And the answer to that is because of cultural Islam is not the same as Islam practiced. To demonstrate the evidence of my argument, I will use the example of history. And I'm quoting from the Andalusian myth, something that all you liberal progressives should pick up, buy and read. This is what it says in the book. Here's a scholar that's written, he's got a long Spanish name, I can't remember what it was. Although most scholars today do not dispute the primary source evidence of the Umayyads' brutal killing of these Christians, they point out the extremism, did you get that, of the martyrs, i.e. the ones being killed. Philahidas, not of the presumably tolerant Umayyad rulers who ordered their slaughter. They have called these executed Christians fanatics, troublemakers, self-immulators. As that last term suggests, scholars have argued, in essence, that the Catholics, or the Christians, asked for it. They brought it on themselves by openly doing things clearly punishable by Islam. Thus, the martyrs of Cordoba, which you need to read about, episode, has been turned into a scholarly version of blaming the victim. For example, one professor of medieval European history claims, to the extent that Muslims in Cordoba did actively persecute Christians, they did so after the martyrdoms began, not before, so that the martyrs movement was more likely the cause of ill treatment than a response to it. Another professor pointed out that our modern sensibilities and greater objectivity precludes any admiration of the Christians and revulsion at their Muslim killers. That is the kind of rhetoric that students are being taught in universities today. It is the kind of rhetoric that we've heard here today, and it can only be resisted if, as Christians, we rediscover our own history, the experience of our own culture, people, and identity, and speak from that experience. Are you saying that the death of my brothers and sisters in every Islamic caliphate there has ever been, whether it's terrorist or not terrorist, including Muhammad's, is something that should not inform my view of Islam.
That should inform your view of extreme.
Answer the question I am asking, not the one you're making me ask. I said, should it inform my view of Islam, i.e. the religion, the ideology?
No, because in the same way...
No,
in the same way...
it shouldn't. I have no right to my own history. That's what the liberal says. That's how the liberal have separated you all from your own history. You have no right to your own history.
In the same way, it doesn't... You can't treat the whole of Christianity... you can't blame the whole of Christianity for the crimes committed in the name of Christianity.
Yeah, so
you can't blame Islam for all of the
So what critique of Christianity would you like to form that is rooted to the book? Show me, give me a historical critique.
The conquerism of South
Give me
the fact that Jews were blamed for the death of Jesus.
Let's deal with the anti-Semitism, and then on that point we're going to have to stop. Okay? Despite the rough handling that you may feel that you've received, just so you know, I rough handle anyone that comes.
I know. I've watched many of your videos.
Okay, so don't take it personally.
No, I don't.
I'm rough handling your ideas, not you as a person. You seem like a nice guy.
No, I am a nice guy.
You are a nice guy. You are a nice guy.
You seem like a much nicer guy now than when you're not on the platform.
So let's just
when you are.
So let's just deal with the anti-Semitism. I am not here trying to defend the anti-Semitism of the church.
Like, I'm not trying to...
Yeah, hold on one second. Hold on one second. The Gospels do not legitimize anti-Semitism against the church.
People read it that way.
Certainly Christians did. Certainly Christians did. And that intensified during the Crusades, when Christians were fighting for their freedom, when they were fighting for their liberty, when they were fighting for their brothers and sisters, and when they were fighting to stop Muslims conquering Christian lands. That's what the Crusades were about. But in that process, anti-Semitism intensified, and I reject it. The difference between Islam and Christianity is this: that the Christian faith, because it is an institutional faith, it means that we have a corporate memory. And that corporate memory can learn from when it makes mistakes in the past. And it can inform how we live in the present. Okay? Islam, by contrast, is a religion of the book. Which means that if Allah said it, it can't be changed. Okay? It can't be reinterpreted.
But he also said that it also says in the Quran you've got to read the whole thing. You can't just pick and choose the lines.
You are not the only one. You're not the only one that has read an entire translation of the Quran. So have I.
No, I know. I appreciate
Okay?
that.
But here's where...
But I don't take little lines out of context.
No, you do.
When they are in context.
No, that is exactly what you did. When you
you
talked about let there be no compulsion in religion, you took it out of context.
How did I?
You took it out of context because Muslims don't believe in a Quran-only Islam. They believe that the Quran is informed by the reading of the Hadith, and those Hadith are Sahih al-Bukhari, Sahih al-Muslim. Those are the two primary sources, and it says in Sahih al-Bukhari, Sahih al-Muslim that if someone chooses a religion other than Islam, they should be killed.
No.
No.
The Quran is primary. If somebody in the Hadith contradicts it, they don't use the Hadith.
People live together all across the Middle East.
They didn't.
All through Africa.
They didn't.
Very happily.
Christians were oppressed in those lands. They were oppressed in those lands. You don't know the history.
You can make up anything you want to stand in.
This is church history, bro.
Have a look at facts.
Libya was Christian when the Muslims conquered it. Egypt was Christians when the Muslims conquered it. Palestine was Christian when the Muslims conquered it. Syria was Christian when Muslims conquered it. Jordan was Christian when Muslims conquered it. Morocco was Christian when Muslims conquered it. Tunisia was Christian when Muslims conquered it. Spain was Christian when Muslims conquered it. Greece was Christian when Muslims conquered it. Turkey was Christian when Muslims conquered it. Armenia was Christian when Muslims conquered it. Georgia was Christian when Muslims conquered it. Bulgaria was Christian when Muslims conquered it. Transylvania was Christian when Muslims conquered it. Romania was Christian when Muslims conquered it.
Let him finish.
Macedonia was Christian when Muslims conquered it. Albania was Christian when Muslims conquered it. Sicily was Christian when Muslims conquered it. Go and learn your history. You have been separated from your history by the liberal state.
So after those dates, was everybody Muslim in them places?
No.
Right. You've just answered the
The
question.
Christians were oppressed, weren't they?
So
Very simple.
They were oppressed. They were. What's your evidence?
Why didn't they
What's
leave?
your evidence?
Why didn't they leave?
They did.
They didn't leave.
Yes,
stayed
they
there
did.
Because they still live
The
there
Christians,
today.
when the
We
Christians,
know they do.
you don't know your
We
history.
know they do.
When the Christians,
You're talking about
when
You're
and why
waffling.
should they?
You're waffling, like
Why
the
should
breakfast-
they move?
Like the breakfast cereal.
Why
You're
should they
waffling.
move?
You're waffling.
You're just,
Look,
bro.
look.
You're just
You
another
made a
ignorant.
statement.
You're just
You made a
another ignorant
statement.
man who doesn't know his
The
history.
man made a statement. Yeah?
You're just
He said
another
the Quran
ignorant
says
man
there's
who
no
doesn't know
compulsion
his
to
history.
religion. Then you said the Muslims took over everywhere as if there's a compulsion to religion. But no one reverted to Islam, did they? They stayed what they was.
On the
The
contrary,
Jews, the Christians, the
on the
Muslims
contrary,
lived very happily
you have
together
confused
in
two
no land.
things. You have confused
No,
two
no,
things.
you're
the Romans
confused.
spread Christianity
You've
by the
done the
sword.
Were
confusion.
explain
You
to
caused
me.
the confusion.
Explain to me
You
why
caused the
why in
confusion.
Egypt the Christians
confusion.
were forced to
They
wear
still
clothes
live there
that
now
would
as
identify them
Christians.
as Christians.
As what?
They had to wear special belts that meant that everyone could see that they were a Christian, and that's what happened in the medieval period. Tell me, what European power in the 1940s did that to Jews? Answer.
I mean, you know that everyone knows the
Answer.
Everyone knows the
Answer. Why is he reluctant to answer?
Because why do I have to
Why is
answer
he
it when
reluctant to
everyone
answer?
knows?
What's the liberal mindset?
What's 2 plus 2?
What is the group?
What's 2 plus
What
2?
is the group?
What's 2 plus 2? Why won't
Tell
you
me.
answer? Do you not know?
Four. Now answer my question.
The Nazis.
Thank you. So, what? Tell me, why did the Muslims in Egypt demand that the Christians needed to seek permission from the Caliph to do something as simple as repairs to their church? Why did they command the Christians that they couldn't have their entrances on the main high street? They had to have it on the side road.
You're going everywhere by the question. The man made a statement. He said there's no compulsion to religion within the Quran. Then you come across with a statement and
About
said Muslims
apostasy.
took over all the land.
About apostasy?
One moment.
No, you're confused, mate. I contradicted you. I contradicted you, and I'm contradicting you again because you're wrong. My point to this brother, my point to this brother was about him saying there's no compulsion in religion
Exactly.
and the apostasy laws of
No, you
Islam
didn't
that
say
he
that,
agrees
Bob.
are compulsion.
You didn't say that.
Did I use the hadith to contradict your argument
Rewind.
about you saying there's no
Rewind,
compulsion in
Bob,
religion?
Bob, rewind.
You can't use the
Rewind
hadith.
button.
I can't use the hadith.
Because-
I can't use the
Well,
hadith.
the Quran
Here we have two liberal progressives, two liberal apologists, two liberal left-wing progressives, suddenly experts on Islam, telling me I can't use the hadiths when every single Muslim Sunni here would tell me that I can.
No, you can. But when
Oh, I can now.
But when it
I
doesn't-
can.
but when it doesn't-
Except when he contradicts your argument.
when it contradicts the
Except when
Quran.
it makes you look
When it
silly.
contradicts the Quran.
The Muslim Sunnis do it, bro. And they've done it for 1400 years.
You just made
And
a
that is
statement.
why I am saying that my history
You need to
informs
apologise
my
to the
critique.
man.
I'd like to hear Muslim Sunni. Did you just say
Sunni.
to defend themselves?
Oh, they will give a defense.
No, here, like if you're going to make a claim like
Go
that,
on.
I'm not going to defend something.
Go and talk about the
that I don't
apostasy
know
laws.
specifically
Go and
about.
talk about the apostasy laws to a Muslim. I'm sure you have the temperament that you'll believe everything they tell you, and you'll agree with every defence they give.
No.
You won't criticise it. You'll defend the murdering of
Videos
Christians.
online.
Yeah.
There's
You
videos
won't
of-
criticise the Muslims for murdering Christians, believing the religion.
Videos of
Yeah.
the online
Go and debate.
criticizing.
He'll follow you.
Islam.
Go and debate Muslims about the
I've done it.
apostasy laws.
I've done it.
Yeah, we want to see you debate. We want to see you debate Muslims about the apostasy laws and watch how they defend them. Unless they're a Shia, of course. In which case, they throw the whole hadith literature under the bus. I've got to go, guys. I'm sorry. It was a real pleasure debating with you. You're a good interlocutor. You really are. But I would say to you, man, you got to pick up that Bible again. You got to pick up that Bible again. You have been brainwashed, man.
The God
been
of
brainwashed.
Abraham is a warlord, criminal, madman.
What is your belief?
I'm spiritual. I don't say that
Neo-pagan?
there's no God.
Are you neo-pagan?
I'm agnostic, but I wouldn't be
Spiritual agnostic.
I'd say so, yeah.
Okay.
I'd say that the most likely thing is the simulation theory. We're all in a computer game now, and the person playing doesn't even know we're having these conversations. He sees we're all interacting. It's my belief. It's crazy.
It
Just
is
as crazy as a
It
man
is crazy.
resurrecting
A
from the
madman.
dead, or Muhammad
Well,
flying off on a wing
maybe
horse.
next time we meet here at the corner, we can debate the resurrection.
I mean, there is a possibility in the simulation theory that this event could have occurred. I'm not saying
the question that you have to.
but at the same time, if it had occurred, the person playing the computer game would not be up there wanting worship. He just thought, oh, that's my character, and he died. Here he gets a second life.
Right, bro. I gotta
so
go.
I don't know,
I'll leave you with that final thought. Take care.